Alright, what's up everyone, I'm Faloki, and today we're going to be taking a look at a preview of the Week 13 matchup between the 8-3 Seattle Seahawks and the 4-7 New York Giants. Before we get into the video though, I do want to once again apologize for the lack of uploads on the channel. Like I said in the last video, I am focusing on school, and this last week has been a lot of work, a lot of finals, a lot of papers, but school is definitely slowing down and it's coming to an end soon, so I will have a lot more time to be putting into making videos and doing anything else. So there should be more videos each week, and that is definitely going to be really nice to have that extra time. But now to get into the video, this Week 13 matchup between the Seattle Seahawks and the New York Giants is definitely going to be an interesting game. Last week against the Eagles, the Seahawks played really well. There was a garbage time touchdown to make the game look closer than it actually was, but it was a very good, very dominant victory for the Seahawks. They played well on defense, played well on offense, and just overall, it was a solid game for the Seahawks. And now this week against the New York Giants, another NFC team, it's definitely going to be much more interesting because the Giants are going into this game with quite a bit of momentum. They've been playing really well recently as opposed to the Eagles, who had been playing pretty poorly going into last week's game. The Giants have definitely been playing pretty well recently, with Daniel Jones looking a lot better as a runner and a passer, and Wayne Gallman has definitely proved to be a really good running back behind Saquon Barkley, who's been out for this season, and Devontae Freeman, who is now on injured reserve. And the defense for the Giants has been playing bad either. Of course, they're not a top defense in the league, but their defense has definitely been playing solid enough for their offense to have a chance to win them games. And sometimes their offense doesn't pull through, but overall their defense hasn't been playing too bad. They haven't allowed more than 30 points in the last 6 games, and their defense has been making some plays. Their defense is definitely solid enough to allow their offense the chance to actually win them games, but their offense sometimes doesn't pull through, and this definitely won't be a cakewalk game for the Seahawks. This is a home game for the Seahawks though, at the newly named Lumen Field. They are undefeated after the name change. Of course, that's only one game, but still the Seahawks at home are a very good team, and honestly, I think this is going to be a very good game for the Seahawks. The Giants are definitely a solid team, but any team in the NFC East is definitely beatable. Going into this game, the Seahawks are still definitely dealing with injuries right now. Travis Homer is doubtful, Carlos Hyde is questionable, and Chris Carson does not have an injury designation. So honestly, Carlos Hyde will most likely play, and Chris Carson does not have a designation. And Pete Carroll has said that he wants to get him more touches in this next game, so that is definitely a good look for the running back group, which has been a very big thing to come back and actually do well for us in the past few weeks. And when it comes to the offensive line, Brandon Shell is doubtful, and Kyle Fuller and Damian Lewis are both questionable, so those are 3 pretty key parts of our offensive line. And honestly, we can't really afford to lose pieces in our offensive line. It already isn't that good, and the replacements have not been playing too well recently, so of course it would be nice to have hopefully Kyle Fuller and Damian Lewis back. It is doubtful for Brandon Shell to come back, and he's most likely going to be out for this game, so hopefully Damian Lewis or Kyle Fuller, or even both, will be able to come back, because honestly, we cannot rely on replacement offensive linemen when our starting offensive linemen are already not that great. And when it comes to the defense, there are some pretty big injuries. Trey Flowers is doubtful for this game with a hamstring issue that seems to be pretty serious from what I've seen about it. And Carlos Dunlap is questionable for this game, and honestly, there's really no tell if he will or won't play. I have seen things that say that Pete Carroll will likely keep him out for this week because he wants to get him full strength for the next week and the weeks to come. But there have also been things that have said that basically Carlos Dunlap is fine and he will play this week. So really don't know anything about that, but he's questionable, and hopefully he will play because he is definitely a big difference maker for this defense and the pass rush. And when it comes to the injuries for the Giants, of course, Saquon Barkley is out for the season, which really sucks, especially since I drafted him number 2 in my fantasy draft for some reason. And it also sucks that Devontae Freeman is on injured reserve because I picked him up to replace Saquon Barkley when he got hurt. But Wayne Gallman has definitely been a really solid guy for the Giants, and he's been really solid for me in fantasy. He seems like a really good guy. They love giving it to him in the red zone, love giving him some touchdowns. He definitely fights through the offensive line, and he definitely makes plays. He has been really solid for them, honestly, and they have relied on him a lot more. They have been pushing the run game a little bit more than honestly you'd expect them to, with 2 of their top guys out in running back spot. But honestly, Wayne Gallman has looked really good, and the injuries to Saquon and the injuries to Devontae Freeman have not really been too big of an issue for them. And the big thing going into this week is Daniel Jones. He is doubtful for this game with a hamstring issue that brought him out of the game early last week, and Colt McCoy replaced him. He will be the backup if Daniel Jones does not end up playing. And of course, Daniel Jones is definitely more athletic, more young, and he is taller. And I mean, Colt McCoy, he's a solid guy. I mean, he can run a little bit, so we kind of have to worry about that. But Colt McCoy, he didn't look great last week. He can make accurate passes. He really didn't last week, but we'll just have to watch out. Whatever happens, happens. And either way, the quarterback is going to be relatively solid for the Giants. Not going to be anything spectacular, either one of them, but it's definitely going to be a solid quarterback in there, and we can't really just play lazy defense. We have to continue to play the defense we've been playing recently, which honestly has been pretty good. But there really aren't any more injuries for the Giants, so of course the Giants really aren't dealing with as many injuries that the Seahawks are. But of course, having Saquon out and Daniel Jones is being doubtful for this game, most likely won't play. Definitely some big injuries for the Giants there. When it comes down to it, this is definitely going to be a game where the Seahawks are going to look to continue the momentum that they've had the past few weeks, playing very solid on offense, very solid on defense, and honestly just continuing to find their rhythm and continuing to look more and more like a Super Bowl team. Carlos Hyde and Chris Carson coming back has made a huge difference recently for the Seahawks, with Carlos Hyde in that Cardinals game being a key factor, coming back, making plays. Our run game actually got going, kept us on the field longer on offense, allowed our defense to get some time off the field, and honestly, both teams did really well. The offense and the defense did really well for the Seahawks because the run game has been doing better. Last week, of course, the run game did pretty well, and we played really good on defense. We played really good on offense. Of course, the Eagles did get a garbage time touchdown, made the game look closer, but really, our defense has not looked bad recently. Even against the Rams, our defense looked fine. Our offense just got nothing going. So our defense has been playing really well, and really, I don't doubt our offense to get going. We aren't having the crazy stats from Russell Wilson, the 4 or 5 touchdowns, but with the run game going, our offense definitely looks solid, and we don't really need those 4 or 5 touchdowns from Russell Wilson to be able to beat in a game, because our run game actually working has allowed our defense to let up less points. It's really just allowing both the offense and the defense to do a lot better, and the run game is going to be huge, especially with Chris Carson coming back, most likely close to full strength this game, getting a lot more touches. It's going to be nice to have him back. Hopefully Russell Wilson will be able to throw some more touchdowns, but Chris Carson coming back is definitely going to be a great thing, and hopefully Carlos Hyde will be playing this game, because both of those guys as a 1-2 punch are some very good runners. And honestly, the Giants are not a team to sleep on. They are 4-7, not a good record whatsoever. They're not really top ranked in anything, but they are definitely a solid team. They're not a team to sleep on. They have been playing really solid recently, and between them and the Washington football team, those teams might be the best 2 teams in the NFC East. And the Washington football team, who we play after next week against the Jets, honestly, we could lose to that team. Their defense has been playing really well. Their offense really isn't doing too great, but Antonio Gibson looked really good in that Thanksgiving game last week, and their defense continues to play really well. So honestly, that Washington football team game might actually be a pretty difficult game for us, but this week against the Giants, they are a solid team. I mean, if Daniel Jones doesn't play, that will definitely take a big hit to their offense. Colt McCoy is definitely not the same player that Daniel Jones is, and although Daniel Jones does get a lot of hate, he's a good player. He can run the ball surprisingly well, and he can pass the ball. He's pretty good. Of course, he makes some bad throws, he misses some open guys, but he's a solid guy. And Wayne Gallman this year has been looking really good. He has been making plays. He has been basically carrying their run game. They don't really have another running back that is that good. Damian Lewis can come in and be okay, but really Wayne Gallman is their man at running back right now, and he probably will be even if Devontae Freeman does come back. So they are not a bad team whatsoever. They have Darius Slayton, who is fast. He can definitely kill us with his speed. And they have Sherman Shepherd, who's a solid wide receiver. And Evan Ingram, he's a great tight end who can make some really crazy catches. So we have to watch out for all those guys. They have a lot of talent. Honestly, I think their defense might be the weakest part of their team, but they're still solid. They are making plays. They're holding teams to under 30 points, which the Seahawks haven't scored 30 points in the last 3 weeks. So honestly, this team has a chance to beat us. I don't think they will, because I think the Seahawks offensively are better and defensively are better, but really it's whatever team comes out and plays every single week. You can lose every single week, you could win every single week. Honestly, that's how the NFL goes. That's how any sport goes, honestly. But the Giants are definitely a solid team, not a team to sleep on whatsoever. But going into this game, I definitely think that the Seahawks are going to outmatch the Giants. They are more talented offensively and more talented defensively. Really, it matters what team comes out and plays well, but really, I think the Seahawks will do better. They'll continue the momentum that they have had the past few weeks and just continue their momentum through these next few games, going up to the Rams and the 49ers game, which are going to be very tough games. But I think this game is going to end in a pretty decently scoring game, but still it's going to be a pretty heavy defensive matchup. But I'm going to say that this is going to be a 31-24 victory for the Seahawks. I think it'll be much better than most of the games that we've had this season. I think the Giants could potentially put up a fight. Of course, it could just possibly be like a 38-7 game where no one really knows how the Giants are going to perform. They either do really well or they just play completely terribly. Honestly, don't really know what's going to happen. I'm going to say 31-24, but I think the Seahawks are going to win this game. This is probably one of the most confident games that I have for the Seahawks winning. But the Giants, I mean, who knows? They could come out. They could make a lot of plays defensively, could make some plays offensively. It really depends how they play. I mean, they're a very off and on team. The Seahawks have a lot of momentum going into this game, but I do think they're going to be doing really good, and they're probably going to win this game pretty convincingly. But overall, there's really not too much to go into with this preview. The Seahawks are a really good team coming in with a lot of momentum offensively and defensively. The Giants are a solid team who have been looking really good recently, but they have been playing some weak matchups, and they are in the NFC East. So they're probably in the worst division, so most of those divisional games are going to be easy matchups for them. So honestly, not too much to really expect from either team. I think this is going to be a good game. I don't know what's going to happen with the Giants because they have been playing really good recently against bad teams, but how will they fare against the Seahawks, who have been looking really good? We will see. Honestly, hopefully this will be a game where we let a team not score 10 points. That would be great to keep a team single digits for the first time this season. it would be really nice to see, and hopefully our offense can get going. Chris Carson gets some touchdowns, Russell Wilson gets some touchdowns. That would be nice to see, but there's really not too much to go into. I think this is going to be a pretty easy victory for the Seahawks. I think they are just outmatched. The Giants are offensively and defensively, talent-wise. And I mean, if the Seahawks actually continue their momentum, play well on offense, play well on defense, they should win this game very easily. But with that, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know down below in the comments what you think is going to happen this game. Will the Giants come out and surprise some people and actually take down the Seahawks? Who knows? Will the Seahawks continue their momentum, play well, and win this game? Let me know what your predictions are and what you think is going to happen this game. Make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new. And with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. Have a great day.